Hi, this is Omar Ramos again from ORWARE, and in this video I'm going to continue where I left off in the last video and make use of that businesses.csv file, which is that little database containing data from the Centro and Brawley chambers, and just kind of walk through an example of how I could use, or I probably will have used it by the time you see this, to send out the mailing to a few local businesses. So as you see here in my letter, I have a couple placeholders for company name, address, city, state, zip, and then I also have a little placeholder here, again, for the company name. So in Microsoft Word, we have a Mailings tab here at the top, and there's a Mail Merge wizard right here under the Start Mail Merge button. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the step-by-step Mail Merge wizard. And in this case, I'm going to leave it for the default letters example because I have a letter that I want to merge in information. So I'm going to say next, and then I want to use the current document. Okay, so I'm going to hit next. And then I want to use an existing list. So the existing list is that CSV file that I created. So I'm going to go to where I have that, which is in the C drive, XAMPP, htdocs, chambers. And in your case, it's going to be wherever you downloaded the file from. So at the end of my letter, I have a link to this file from my website. So feel free to grab it if you guys have your own mailings that you'd like to send out to businesses. So you would go ahead and browse for the file wherever you downloaded it. This is where it is on my computer at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And you might see something like this, the file conversion with the encoding. So just the default is fine. Just go ahead and hit OK. And the next part is where we actually can see a preview of the data. So our data source is that businesses.csv file, and you can exclude rows that maybe aren't actually good anymore or something if you wish. But some of the examples here that you can see are, you have the categories. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to make use of that because I don't think I want to send out, 900 and something mailings. I think I'll try and do something a little bit more targeted and just see if I can find a few categories that I might want to reach out to initially. So as an example, one of our categories that we have here is healthcare. So if we would like to filter our list, we can go ahead and click on this filter button here, and then say for the category, we want to say that we want to have all rows where the category is equal to health care. So if we click OK, now we only see those rows. And then if we want to then further sort the data, we could sort it by the company full as an example. So now we have it sorted by company full. So we start with adolescents, Dr. Beg, and Admani, and we continue down all the way to the Dentist Center or the Yuma Rehabilitation Clinic. The reason why the Dentist Center is probably at the end is it may have something else as part of this field, like an extra space or something, which might cause it to get sorted at the end a little bit out of place. But other than that, you could see that pretty much all of this is accurate and exactly what one would want. So going with this example, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And so now we have that configured here, and we can continue on with the letter writing step. So here we're going to want the address block. So we have a couple of examples here. Since the companies don't really have a recipient name, we can go ahead and uncheck this because we're not going to need that. But we do want the company name to be inserted along with the postal address. And if we had any issues here in the example, you'd be able to correct the problems by adjusting them. As an example, I wasn't naming the company field company in my initial runs through this. I was calling it business, and that wasn't getting matched up automatically with this company field, so I adjusted that. So now it should more or less be good to go with the defaults automatically. So we hit OK, and you see here it added in this address block part. So we can go ahead and take that, and since that's going to contain the company name, the address, city, state, and zip, it's really going to replace these 3 lines. So let me go ahead and delete those and paste the address block over it. And then if I want to have a greeting line, I can go ahead and insert one of those. So it's going to be dear, and in this case, since we don't have a name, we actually want to make a little adjustment here. So instead of the name, we want to switch this. So instead of the first and last name, we just want the company full name to be used as the first name. So here we have Dear White Cross Pharmacy, Dear Yuma Rehabilitation Hospital, Dear Vision Care Center. So you can see now that's pretty much what I want now. This one's going to look a little bit funny, but you know that may be okay. It might be something I have to live with, but I will go ahead and click OK at this point, and that's going to give me this greeting line text. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that, cut and paste it at the beginning of the line, and then I'm going to go ahead and just delete the rest here because I'm not going to need it anymore. So those are really the 2 pieces of customized text that we're going to bring in from the file. So I'm going to go ahead and preview the letter at this point. And let's see if that gets maintained here. So we can do a different preview. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing here is that the full company name isn't being used right here. So I actually probably want to adjust that. And then in addition, there's these extra lines coming in here, which I don't really care for. I'd rather have it look more like this. So let me see if I can fix that. So I need to go back to the previous step, and I'll go, well, no, this is the right one. So let me go ahead and click address block one more time. So this match fields part was kind of adjusted because of the next step when I added it into the first name. So what I'll go ahead and just do here is I'm just going to just put not matched here for the company name. So now just the full name gets shown. But I'm not seeing a good way to format this. Let me just double check that there aren't match fields, insert. Okay, so perhaps a better way to do this is going to be to do it little by little. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the address block at this point because that's not going to work for us. So I'm going to go to more items, and I'm going to insert the fields one by one. So company full, address, city, state, zip, hit close. And then at this point I can format it the way I want to. So address is going to go there, city is going to go there, put a comma in, space, and a space between the state and the zip. So that should look the way I want it to look. So next I can go ahead and preview one more time. And as you can see, that looks a lot better. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and complete the merge. And normally, well, here's the edit option. The edit one is a little bit more flexible because as soon as you hit print here, it's going to just send it to the printer. And unless you have an option like print to PDF or something like that, that really isn't, generally what somebody would want. So let's hit the edit individual letters button, and we want to bring in all the records, hit OK. Okay, here. So I believe those initial, kind of notices that I was clicking on that was saying that line 1 was empty and so on. I think that had more to do with the fact that perhaps line 1 is that header row and or that we were filtering, which meant that we were excluding rows. And then one of them was for the very last line, which is an empty record. So you'll generally get at least that one just because. But as you can see here, the mail merge itself went perfectly. So we have the 2 pages of the letter, the adolescence company, then the next one, advanced eye care optometry, Began and Mari's MDs, and here's another one repeated. So in this case, since I see that there's 2 different ones, and they're both going to the same location, maybe at this point, I could print it out and just not mail it because it doesn't make sense to send it out twice or something along those lines. But you may have to make a couple of those adjustments on your own and or just exclude them in that step when we were creating the mail merge where it allowed you to uncheck a row so that it could be excluded. Here's Baron and Baron and so forth. So I guess we have an empty page at the end, which we can go ahead and just delete. So we have 128 pages. So if we divide that by 2, then that means that we had 64 companies that were part of the mailing. So this is good to go. I could go ahead and print this and then create my mailing. There's a slightly different procedure that you go through when you're creating a mail merge for labels, which I'll probably be doing myself. And I will probably be using something like this, Staples labels. Let me go to staples.com first. I think they were the 5160 labels. Probably be using something like this, though I will have to check to see if they have less than 3,000 as an option. But this looks like the type of label that I could use and place on an envelope and send out. So if I'm going to use the 5160, I would want to click on the labels option here. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong area. Let me go ahead and just create a new document. So I would go to mailings, step-by-step mail merge, hit labels, go to next. I'm going to start from the existing document. Oh, there you go. I'm going to change the document layout and then click label options. At this point, it's going to give me a bunch of options for choosing, label vendors, I'm going to check Avery US Letter, and then I'm going to click in here, and then I'm going to push 5, and that'll get me down to the 5s, and I could just scroll down a little bit and find the 5160s. Okay, hit OK. And then at this point, there's not a lot to see because it's kind of hard to tell, but as you click, you can see that the cursor jumps around because we have the different positions, and if I highlight them, it's a little bit more visible. So we have it all laid out now for labels. So go ahead and click Next. I'm going to bring in that database file again, so I have to find it. And once again, it's going to be wherever you downloaded it to, but in my case, it's in this folder, so I'm going to go ahead and hit there. So I'm going to run through a couple of those same steps that I ran into before. And I wonder why it looks like this. I'm going to have to review that. Let's see, so we have our filter. So we want to filter again by healthcare. Hit OK. And then we're going to go ahead and sort by company name. And since we had that example from the last one, I'm going to just go ahead and uncheck Beg and Edmani so I don't have to try and send that one twice. I'll go ahead and hit OK. So here we see this next record is inserted. So the first one is not needed because it's going to display the first record, but the next one is going to show the next record, and then again it's going to go and go through the entire list there. So now we'll go ahead and arrange the labels. So we're going to go ahead and use the More Items one more time because that one seemed to be the most flexible. So we're going to go ahead and insert the company name that's short. And the reason for that is some company names are quite long. Though, let me see. We can go ahead and try company full. Maybe this new way will be a little bit more flexible. So we have the address, city, state, zip, and that should be all that we need. So let me delete the company one. So you have company full, and then I'm going to do Shift Enter, because if I just do a regular enter, it's going to give me more space in between the two, which I don't want. So I'm going to do Shift Enter, comma, city, state, zip. All right, so company full, address, city, state, zip. Looks good to me. Actually, I believe this needs to be over here. Hopefully I didn't make that same mistake over here. No, I did not. Okay. And one other adjustment. We need to put this on another line. I was like, I felt like I was missing something. Okay, so there we go. We have the address on one line, and then city, state, zip on the next, and then company full at the top. So let's preview those labels. Oh, since we're doing labels, we actually have to copy this over. So you have to make sure to click this Update All Labels button. So go ahead and click that, and now our little template gets moved across all of them, and we can preview. So on the preview step, takes a few moments, but here you can see Barron & Barron Medical Corporation, Barson, Bill Burns, Patricia Billings, Brawley Pharmacy, California Cosmetic Laser Institute, and so on. So let's go ahead and hit next because these look great. And we're going to go ahead and hit the Edit Individual Labels button. And this is going to go ahead and generate a new file. You might get a couple of these, which is fine. Just hit OK. And then you should get one at the end for the last record. Just hit OK. And then here we have all of them ready to be printed out on our printer. And we could save this and print it later, or we can print it now. This is an example of one of the really long ones that I mentioned here. And my only concern with those, and that's why I had like the short option as well, is that you wouldn't necessarily want the text for your label to go past the bottom of the label so that it doesn't print out correctly, because then maybe the address wouldn't be fully visible, which would cause you issues if you're trying to send out a mailing. So hopefully this tutorial is useful, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.